All right, welcome back, everyone, under the cork tree. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Peter Milligan, licensed attorney, author of Bowls Before Breakfast, available on Amazon and his website. I believe it's bowlsbeforebreakfast.com. This isn't marketing, folks. It's widely considered the definitive guide to Pamplona, its famed fiesta, and honestly, the region of Navarra in general. So go check it out. It's available now. And correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but you've run with the Bulls about 100 times?
Yeah, if I'm allowed to count my runs in Rodrigo in the winter, it's north of 100. Now there's some debate about that, of course, because that's a little bit of a different kind of run. But if I run every day this fiesta, I'll reach 99 in Pamplona. If I run every day, and that's never a guarantee, of course.
Comparing your first year in 2004 to now in 2018, give me some things that maybe you wish you knew when you first went, things that you kind of just learned along the way speaking to locals.
Well, the first time an American goes, the first time we went, we didn't know it was every day. We just scheduled to be there 2 days, and we thought we'd get one run, and then we find out it's this big, long fiesta, and we found out that there's more than just the Bulls. There's, it's a huge celebration all day. It's really a you don't see this in the news, but it's really families, hanging out with your friends, going to meals, going to shows, going to concerts, and there's a nonstop day. I mean, you really could stay awake 24 hours a day if for the entire fiesta, and there's something somewhere to do. We had no idea.
You had a great quote in your book. You talked about how Ernest Hemingway once said it was tough to describe a fiesta day. And would you just say over that course of the 8-9 day festival, no day is just like the next? It's just a little different?
Every day is different. Every year is different. And every year I come home and my wife says, "How was it?" And I say, "It was the best fiesta ever." And I feel like a little kid saying that. It sounds like like a kindergartner saying, "It was the greatest day of my life." And you're 5 years old, but every year is better than the past, and every year we figure out something more, and every year we make more friends. It's hard dealing with change, and some friends can't make it, but you make new friends, or some friends move on, or their wives have enough of them having fun off in the summer. I mean, this will be my first fiesta without Ari since the beginning.
I mean, that's huge. And for those who don't know, Ari's your brother.
Yep, and we started going in 2004, and he has 2 more runs in Pamplona than I do because he ran when I was in the hospital, but now I'm going to catch up to him because his wife is making him take a cruise to Alaska.
Oh my goodness! When I first saw that on Facebook, I was like, "Who does that?" I mean, come on, Ari.
People think I'm joking. And when he made the plans in the fall, he said, "It's no big deal. It's just 1 year. Now it's killing him."
Oh, so okay, it is eating at him. He has severe remorse.
It's absolutely,
okay.
It's absolutely. He doesn't even want to talk about it with me.
Yes,
he's just disgusted with himself, as is everybody else, of course.
Well, one of the things I found interesting is, and I've known you since last summer, and we've had numerous chats, and we've talked about your career, and we've talked about your writing and all this different stuff, but just kind of researching you a little bit, I found out some things that I didn't really know. No, all good stuff. Well, hold on a second.
Mostly.
One bone to pick with you. What is your slightly bizarre obsession with brass ring carousels?
Oh, okay. All right.
Just so we understand.
If you don't like carousels, there's something wrong. You might not have a soul. You need to go to church more. You don't like carousels. So I live in New Jersey, and we go to the Jersey Shore, just like you see on MTV. Not that. Well, we do go to that one when we want to slum it. I have seen Snooki and all those people on the boardwalk. We go to Ocean City, New Jersey, when we feel classy and we want to, be upright, outstanding citizens. And we walk the boardwalks during the day. You go in the water, you eat pizza, you get ice cream, and then at night there's rides, under the lights, like old carnival type rides. And it's an old style carved carousel. The Philadelphia Toboggan Company there's like 2 places you're going to get a carousel from. It's either Philadelphia or Kansas City. That's in the United States. That's who carves them. It's an old-fashioned carved Philadelphia Toboggan Company carousel, and it should go around. You know, the inside horses go up and down. The outside ones are secure; they don't move. And you have to lean out and grab a ring. That's where they're going for the brass ring. That's where that expression comes from.
Okay, that's where that comes from.
That's
okay.
right. If you're going for the brass ring at work, that means you're leaning out and you're trying to catch that as you go by. And it's kind of a big deal in southern New Jersey. You know, people get in arguments. I mean, you got your horse that you want to get on. And if you get there and they haven't started doing the rings yet, people bark at the kids. They say, you know, get it together. And like I have a running, and my wife is very concerned that me or one of my two sons is going to perish, fall off the thing, break our neck, because we have a really heavy competition on grabbing those rings. And I've probably been on it close to 500 times.
500.
Twice.
Well, so what happens when you get the ring?
You get a free ride.
Oh, okay. Or you get a free ride. All right, that's cool. Like it's something, right?
You get and I've never turned them in. You get a certificate for a free ride, but there's no way I'm handing that over to them. That's up on the wall. So, and it's, you know, like one of my first dates with my future wife in high school. I took her down there. You ride the ride, you grab the ring, and then you steal one. You don't at the end, you don't turn them all back in. You steal one, and then you give it to her on the boardwalk. Or you buy her a balloon and you tie it on the bottom. It's a South Jersey 100-year tradition here in the community.
No way.
So gosh. I love carousels.
The way that story was going, I was thinking like when you go to Vegas and you start collecting those chips, like maybe you don't turn in like a $10 chip or something, but it's not as romantic in Vegas, I guess. Maybe I don't know. Well,
no.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. No, I had to ask you about that because. I mean, I've been on a carousel. You know, I probably haven't been on one in like 20 years, but still, I've been on a carousel.
Dude.
But I will try to up my appreciation for the brass ring carousels. I will try.
Good.
Do they have them at the fair in Pamplona?
Sometimes. You mean down the fair down by the river?
Yeah.
Oh, those are the safest rides in the world, by the way. People worry about me getting hurt on the bulls. They should be worried about me getting hurt on the fake bull. That they have a mechanical bull out there that if you really want to break your neck.
Oh man, they just don't have the regulations, man. I'm not sure I could get myself on one of those things.
It's fabulous. And this year and now I won't look so creepy with just me and Ari riding the rides out there. I have my little boy with me.
Look at those two grown men go up and down.
Oh, why are they so excited about Mr. Bean the ride?
Dude, it's really cool, man, because like I said, the more I read into you, like I was like, man, this guy's really traveled around, right? You love to go to like the art exhibits, the museums, the national parks, the zoos, and you've been to a lot of places, but it seems like your all-consuming passion, I think as you put it, is Pamplona, is the Fiesta of San Fermin. Like I guess, how did that happen? Did you expect that when you first went in 2004?
Well, my brother worked for Lockheed Martin, and he would have business trips to Madrid, and he would have business trips to Seville and Cadiz. And he keeps coming back, and he keeps saying, "Oh, you can't believe this place. Dinner's at midnight, and the paseo." And he's like, "The beaches are amazing. You got to come." So one summer, I just went over with him to Seville and Granada, and I was like, "Oh, this is incredible. It's not a completely different culture. You think you can go to France and it's really not that different than going to New York, except everybody talks funny. But you go to Madrid and you try to go to a restaurant at 8:00 at night and they're not even open. Dinner's late and the culture's different. And so we started hanging out down south, and we took the drive over to Gibraltar and all the things you do down south. And then we're just watching TV, and there it was, the running up, all the way up in Navarra. So we took the train from Cordoba. Imagine this train ride. It had to be 9 hours now that I think back on it. And all the way up there to the train station, and we had no plans. We didn't have a hotel room. We didn't have white pants. We had nothing. And someone picked us up. This was before Uber, and I mean there was just people there. We're like, "Hey, you need a ride? Come with us." And they dropped us off. They dropped us off at the Tres Reyes, and we went in the Tres Reyes, which is like the second most expensive hotel, I guess, Pamplona. We go in there, we're like, no, we don't have $600 to spend for a night in a hotel.
That's insane.
So we wandered around. We found the Macionave. We fell in love with the people there. They walked us through Fiesta. They sat us down and explained to us what was going on. And, the rest is history. We just kept on coming back.
And do you think that experience of just going back year after year, is that something that you kind of share, in that special bond with your brother Ari, that like nobody really understands like that bond that you've kind of formed over the years? And
I mean,
what about that is so special?
Nobody at home understands it, and then especially nobody there understands it, because we even have our own fiesta within a fiesta. We have our own silly nonsense that we do that other people can't comprehend. If I don't have a bag of Super Balls that I bring in my suitcase, or one year we bought a case of those balsa wood propeller airplanes, and we just sat out in the park handing those out to kids and playing. I mean, there's just so much little details of the fun you can have there, if you're willing to act like a kid and have fun. We have a terrific time together, our own silly routine. And it's, this year's unimaginable that he's not going to be there. I'm sure it'll be a little depressing on the plane. Once I get there, I'll forget that he ever existed. We don't even sit next to each other on the plane anymore because we bicker too much and argue. Just the movies he watches on the airplane irritates me. So it's better that we don't sit next to each other. But I'm sure I'll miss him as soon as I'm getting over there. And
for sure.
And that. The apartment will look empty for a couple of days until my wife and son show up.
And everybody who knows you and knows Ari knows that you love to just mercilessly taunt and just torment him, but he takes it so well. And in ways, I mean, he can kind of come off as a quiet guy, perhaps even shy when you first meet him. But he's funny, man, and he can crack jokes.
Oh, he's ruthless.
Oh, dude.
And I get on him about being short and about being a bad dresser and about his tiny little shoes and how long he takes in the shower. Like that little tiny body takes 45 minutes to get clean in the shower. You wouldn't believe it. He's a pig. His room is just. I get on him about all those things, and I get on him about it in front of other people, and I kid him without mercy. And then I find that it drives all of the girls to him, and they're all like, "Oh, Ari, he takes it with such dignity," and I think it's a big con on his part. I'm hanging around with the guys making a lot of noise and laughing and talking real loud, and I'll look over and he's whispering with 10 different of the locals.
Oh my goodness.
He does just fine. So but yeah, I mean, it takes him a while to get going, but when he gets going.
When I first met him, I didn't realize he was your brother. Honestly, so we met last summer, but we had several different breakfasts. We were all at the same table. We kind of chit-chatted here and there. But when I really got to know you was in that hospital kind of lobby, and dude, I'll be honest, man. At that point, I still didn't know, right, that Ari was your brother, and I thought, and he didn't say like a word for like the first like 15 minutes. So I didn't really hear him speak, dude. I thought he was a local. I thought he was like a Basque Spaniard dude. Like I was like,
love that,
dude. No, I'm dead serious because he has that kind of complexion.
Well, he's my parents adopted him, so he's of Jewish descent, and in the airport he always gets the extra pat down, and he gets pulled out of the security line because there's a fine line between looking like you're from the Middle East and looking like you're from Israel, and so I always kid him about that. But once we land in Spain, people stop and ask him for directions.
What does he do? He's just like,
I mean, he'll try to help him as best he can, and he's better at. I'm better at reading the language, and he's better at listening and speaking. So between the two of us, we can get around.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things that you guys are so good at, and you're obviously like a natural planner. Like you scope everything out well before you go. You have the itineraries off. You probably print them out. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I was like, he's got to be printing these things out.
Oh yeah, one in the suitcase and one in the backpack in case you lose one.
You got it like strapped on your belly like a tourist
That's
belt,
right.
you know?
It's on the phone. It's on our phone now. Yeah.
Yes. So, what are like a few of the places that you might go outside of Pamplona that you'd recommend, like a village or a town nearby that you can kind of go explore?
Well, I mean, we like to go up to Lucanberry, which is about 20, 30 minutes north of Pamplona. Almost on the road to San Sebastian. There's a really nice Asador up there. There's a really nice park, and you can drive up the side of the mountain. You can drive up the side of the mountain. There's an old church that there was a famous art thief hit them in the 70s, like Eric the art thief. It's like he had like one of those like Pink Panther names, and he like went in there and stole some of the jewels. So it became sort of you can go up there and there'll be snow on the ground.
Oh my goodness!
So we've been up there. We've seen some of the royalty of Spanish royalty's family was up there for an event. And we completely surprised them, like popping out of off the street, like they didn't think anybody would be up there. We got to meet. I don't remember their names, but we got like passed around, like meeting people, and there was all the security, and we have a blast up there.
But you guys blend in so well, though, right?
We try to be nice. We're visitors, and we try to be nice, and we're genuinely interested, right? We're not like just like bored with it. Everything is exciting. We'll go to a small town and we'll have lunch in the restaurant and we'll get talking with them. We'll be back at their house. We've been invited back to people's pools in their yard. They're like, "Do you have a swimsuit? We have a swimsuit you can wear." We always have a swimsuit in the car in case we get invited to a pool party. Probably 10 times.
Well, one of the interesting things I learned also about you is that during Fiesta, and I don't know if you did this up until you wrote the book, Bowls Before Breakfast, but you've always carried around a little journal, and you'll document or at least write notes about your experiences. Do you still do that?
Yeah, and as especially for our sake of our memory, and we meet so many people. We'll probably meet 150 new people every year, and if we write down their names, we get their email addresses, try to stay in touch. Older people, when we meet older Basque or older Navarrans, they might not necessarily be on Facebook or. So we actually have some people we actually send like Christmas cards to, like in the old snail mail over there for it. Because sometimes, you get tired in Fiesta, things get fuzzy.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it Thursday? Yeah. It's not an uncommon problem.
Well, it's so hard because you pointed out in the book is that you're probably embracing like 1,000 different people, like easy, right? Just whether it's a quick hello, goodbye, how are you? Haven't seen you since last summer. And everyone's just so like, I don't know, there's just like this joyous kind of atmosphere going on all around you that it's really hard to kind of keep track of all those thoughts and experiences. So I haven't tried that, but I think that's a really good idea for anybody who wants to make the most out of it. And remember, right? Especially if you're just going to go once and not go again, which hopefully isn't the case. But
there's an awful lot of people who are doing that, and I hate that expression, bucket list, but you know what I mean. That's like one time. They're coming one day for one run, one lunch, and one dinner, and then they're on to the next thing. And I can't even imagine. That's like spending like 10 minutes in the Louvre, right? You just like sort of walk in, walk out.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom it. And my oldest son started when he was 16, and I'm jealous. Wouldn't you like to be 16 with 25 euros in your pocket?
European girls.
Yeah. Just like we'll see you tonight at 6 for for pinchos and goodbye.
Yes.
And just him running into the crowd. So it's great.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like no other place I've ever been before. And I think that's why a lot of us keep going back, right? Is there's something special about it. And they have enciros all over Spain, right? Especially during the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
But the fiesta itself and the people you see, it's just a special group of people and a special experience. And I really wish the people would take the time to make the trip out there. You talk about your son, right? One of the things I wanted to ask you was, did he twist your arm to run with the bulls?
It wasn't as much as, he went with us. He begged, 16 years old, begging us. Let me go with you. Let me go with you. I finally said, yeah, you can go. He's like, I'll carry your luggage up to the flat. I'll go. I'll bring the groceries in from the grocery store. He's gonna, he's gonna do the errands for us. Like, all right, this is good. You'd be our little, our little servant boy, and you'll have our sunglasses and our phones. You'll hold them for us. We'll run, and then we'll pick up our stuff from you. And so that was the plan, right? And we land, and he sees it. We take him to Chubinazo, and he goes crazy, and he meets everybody out there. And of course, that's a heck of a way to introduce yourself to the world is to go to that. And we're down in the front, and he can't believe it. He feels like we've been hiding, holding out on him. And the next day, he's walking down to the run with us, and we like, you're going to go over there. We're going to run. We'll come and get you right afterwards. And I don't think we could have physically stopped him. Now, I mean, he was underage, right? He was you're supposed to be 18, but he's a man. He's a big, beefy kid. And he's bigger than most of the people running when he was 16. So we felt confident doing it, but there was and he just took off. Afterwards, he said, I didn't know when to stop running. He just took off, and he was hooked. He's really good.
That's
it's
so
an
awesome,
awful,
man.
Awful experience to run with your son. Terrible.
Well, I mean, I know the what you kind of go through, at least mentally, when the average person runs the bull run. You're just, it's everything from fear to adrenaline to excitement to panic. I can't imagine, worrying about the person
fear.
next to you, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I keep an eye on Ari. He's smaller. I keep an eye on him, but we don't run together, right?
I like how you just entered that little jab right there. He's smaller. It's just,
We can't run holding hands, though. I mean, it's impossible. And I just make sure he's not going to get in trouble. And if I hear, there's been a couple of times over the years where I've called out to him that I see something that, that's coming that he needs to get out of the way or something. But with your kid, I'm just like running after him. I'm not even it's hard to even pay attention to the herd. I'm just trying to get between him and the herd. So, but he's big, he's strong, and he can run fast. So by the second year, we had no qualms about letting him get out there and, make his name.
Once it was over, what was his reaction? Was it all he expected it to be? Like, what were his thoughts?
Well, he thought we had been downplaying it. He's like, oh, you've been keeping this. You've been keeping how much fun this was from us. And I said, no, I come home every year. I tell you how much fun it is. And he's like, no, you've been sort of like hedging your bet on telling us how much fun you're having. His mommy has no idea how much fun you're having over here.
He's like, nice try. Now I know.
So I would say, okay, so there's a lot of things that mommy doesn't, have to know about, right? I'm like, you can't go home and like every time daddy says a bad word, you can't report on me or something. But yeah, he's missed it. This will be his second summer missing it because of college obligations, but it's killing him.
Oh no, I bet. Even on Facebook, like we see a lot of our friends who can't make it out this year, like Joseph Fury and others who just can't make it out. I think
Matt Clayfield.
Matt Clayfield, and a bunch of others. And it just really sucks, right? Because like once you experience it with them, it's like, I mean, we'll still have a blast, right? But
but I'll miss. There's certain people I'll miss. I mean, yeah. Some we don't care that we don't come, but those guys definitely.
Well, in 2013, you broke your ankle running with the Bulls. Is that right? 2013.
Yeah.
Walk me through that, man. What happened?
Well, I was, I got going in a good clip down towards going into the bull ring, down the Callion and into the tunnel, and I just clipped heels with somebody. It wasn't, they weren't. Neither of us was being irresponsible. I was sort of looking back to see if there was anything coming, and we just clipped heels, and I fell down, and I've fallen so many times. I fall and you curl up, and you hope the bulls jump you. You hope not too many people fall over you. And that's what I was prepared for. I've fallen in there before and been pulled under. They have the little areas they can pull you under the wall because there's nowhere to escape. And as I fell, I knew something was wrong with my ankle. And my immediate thought, and people think I'm kidding, but my immediate thought was, we have lunch at 1. I hope I'm out of the hospital.
You're worried about lunch.
I thought,
oh my God.
in my mind, I was like, okay, it's 8:05, 9:05, 10:05. Maybe we'll be out of there in time. I'm going to go. They're going to wrap it or something, right? And then I reached down and I could feel something sticking out of my leg, and it came, my white pants have a big red spot on them, and I try to get up and I can't. I can't even hop with my other foot. It hurts so bad.
Oh, man.
And a lady, one of the EMT workers, that wears the Red Cross outfit, she climbed over the barrier and threw herself down on me because I was right there at that corner.
Wow.
Just before the sand starts. Where it switches from the cobblestones to the sand. And she was trying to get me, and I couldn't get up, and I was struggling, and so she dove over. Because one of the bulls was doing that counterclockwise around the ring coming around, and they weren't sure, and there was all those runners, and so yeah, I give her a big hug and kiss every year when I see her now.
Oh, so you see her when you go back? That's pretty cool, man.
Oh yeah, she's always in the ring now. So
wow.
Yeah.
Was that the same day that Ari was gored?
No, he was gored the year before.
Okay.
Now, listen to this. Ari gets gored. I need a judgment call here from you. All right, Ari gets gored, and he spends maybe 2 hours in the hospital. They clean it. We have to go back every day, and they clean it again. It's a drain. It was gored. He lost a vein in his leg, and it was serious. But he ran the next day, or kind of limped along the wall the next day. The King of Spain sent him champagne and flowers to his hotel room. Right?
Wait, what?
We get back to the Mansianavia that night.
No.
And the lobby is covered with reporters. Like he's Paris Hilton with the cameras and the blinking. The doors open. He goes in because he said on the interview him at the hospital. He said, "I'm running tomorrow unless they amputate my leg." And it went, it was a great quote.
Just blew up.
And it just blew up all over the world. And it was in the newspapers all over the place. And later that night, we go back after dinner. We go up to the room, bottle of champagne, flowers from the King of Spain.
No way.
I break my ankle, and I'm in the hospital for 5 days. I had major surgery. Nothing from the king.
The King of Spain.
When I see him, we'll take that tour of the palace in Madrid, and maybe we'll catch him in the hall.
That's right. Put a beating on him.
Who gives, man? At least a card.
I mean, so you said he lost a vein, and he was in the hospital.
No, Ari lost a vein, yeah.
And he was in the street the next day? Was he just dead set on doing it? He was just like, I'm doing it.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, all kidding aside, it was the most chilling morning I've had there, because we ran in front of City Hall, because he had get him a little area, but it was petrifying, and we were new at getting hurt. Neither of us we'd been banged up, and but nothing serious. Mm-hmm. And it was more of the trauma of hearing he had been gored than But I heard he was gored, and the panic sets in, because that sounds like a lot more than poked in the leg, right? That sounds, I've seen people gored, real gored,
yeah,
and it's horrifying. And if it's somebody that you know and love, it just amps it up that much more. And it took me days for that to come down. But hey,
man.
Those two events, I had been shopping the book. Those two events, I couldn't get an agent. And when I got home, him getting gored got me an agent. Me getting hurt the next year sold the book.
Ari helped you get the agent.
Yeah, so they're awesome. So the summer they were releasing it, they're like, if something happens, we don't want something to happen, but if something happens to you, it would be really good for sales.
Well, eventually you got this published through St. Martin's Press, right?
Yep.
That's a major publishing house, right? That's not small time, man. It's
I remember, I remember it's all happening, and I'm thinking they're gonna, put it on Amazon or something, and then they're like, where are your favorite bookstores? So I give them 5 or 6 of my local bookstores, and I'm like, that's cool. They're gonna put them in bookstores near here. And as soon as they did, we ran down there and saw it. We run down the bookstore, dancing in the aisles. This is so exciting. Then I flew out to see Jack and Victoria out in L.A. And we're going around, and I'm like, you know what? I was checking a bookstore, and there it was, in downtown LA in the Barnes and Noble, and I was like, oh, this is a lot bigger than I understood. So,
man, that's
they sent me the book. I did a ton of book signings, and it's not just Fiesta people. It's travel people. Mm-hmm. It's Navarra, people that are interested in Navarra, or people that are interested in the Camino. It's Hemingway people. It's been great. It's been, I didn't go into this to try to make a buck or to, I'm not self-promoting. If anything, I'm promoting people to go and see that lovely portion of the world before it gets paved over or something. Isn't that what happens to places that are paradises? But it is a legit paradise. It is an extraordinary, beautiful place. and the people are so independent and fierce and interesting. And in any other country, right, those people have been taken over. It's by now.
Oh yeah.
And they just keep pushing it and fighting it, and you learn so much about. I mean, like there's the difference between being a Spaniard and a Navarran and a Basque, and and then you run into the people who are more French Basque than Spanish Basque, and it's complicated and it's hard to communicate to somebody outside of the country. And I like them all. So, I mean, not the French ones.
Not the French ones. No, but it's the whole dynamic, right? The Southern Basques, right? The Basques in the northern part of Spain, and that whole kind of tension. And
then they look at the French ones, and they're like, "You're selling out our culture, that Disneyland stuff up there. You're dressing up your houses." I love it. I love talking to people, and you find out. We got our own things here. We got, we got Philly. We got Philly, New York dynamic that maybe people from another country don't necessarily understand how mad I can get about, like New York Rangers. I mean, legit, like fisticuffs ready to go. Right. And you talk to them, and it's the same thing. They've got their own, they've got I mean, the dust of the Civil War is hardly settled there. So they got old beef. And people are alive today that went through a living hell there. So. They're fascinating people.
Yeah. No, I'm always amazed. Like when we go back right to Pamplona, we meet up with everyone. Either some people run, some people don't, but we all kind of meet up. Have drinks at Choco or the American Party or the what is it, the Norwegian Party, the Gutter Club, Tim Pinks and the Gutter Club. When I first heard that story of how they got the name the Gutter Club, that was, dude, Tim Pinks himself told me. And I thought he was just, drunk off his ass. He was BSing me, but they would like sleep or kind of curl up in these little gutters.
Yeah.
And people would say, "Oh, there goes the gutter folks. There go the gutter folks."
Yeah.
But dude, they owned that name, bro. They owned that. That was awesome.
That's a great moniker, right? When you of everybody that helped me, and a lot of people helped me with the book, but Tim Pinks, it is unbelievable the amount of time he put in and the amount of help he provided to help sort of fact check. When you write a book, they fact check everything, and they actually cut things out that were like, where we're afraid Brian Gumbel's going to sue us and that kind of stuff.
Is that the ESPN dude?
Yeah, the ESPN guy, right. They made me to tamp that down a little bit, but Tim, I mean, an amazing amount of time. Like his notes on the book were as long as the book. He put so much time in, and that I always thought that I hardly knew him. I just had reached out to him, and I hardly knew him at that point. And that's how much he cares about it, about Fiesta and about Pamplona, about the people there, that he put that much time in to make sure, because we want people here to know. I mean, obviously that my book is written towards Americans.
For sure.
It's not gonna sell well in Russia. I mean, it's not cross cultural, and we wanted people here to sort of learn a little bit more, and to the modern Fiesta and what's going on. Yeah. There's just so much you can get about it from The Sun Also Rises at this point. They're not goring horses anymore, and that he needs to update that book. Yes. His grandson,
like 90 years old.
He needs to update that so people understand.
One of the things I thought was special about your book, though, was speaking of Hemingway, was that John Hemingway provided the foreword to your book. How did you get that, man? How did that relationship start out?
We'd been hanging out with him. He had his son Michael's there. And like an entire day on Fiesta, and we started out like the Chupinazo, and like all day that day, hanging out with him and a big crew of his people and laughing and yucking it up. And you know how it gets. You start putting your arm around people and telling them you're my best friend ever, man. And
as you pound some more vodka and orange juice.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, your son is so, because his son's a photographer, and so he's taking pictures of everything. And somebody's like, hey, you know who that is? I'm like, no, I have no idea. And they're like, yeah, it's Ernest Hemingway's grandson. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. And he doesn't carry it at all. He does not strut around as much as he could.
So you really wouldn't know unless you knew him kind of well.
Someone tells you. No, and he's such a great guy, and he's so smart, and he's got his own, his own thing he's doing. and he's always. Well, he's had the same girl now a couple years. He has a little trouble keeping the girlfriends for a long period of time, and but they've had this one I guess 3 years now. But he's just a good guy, and we want the best for him. And like I sent him an email. I said, they're putting a lot of pressure on me. They want that like star. They want that like splashy thing at the front or
Yeah.
and the reviews and everything. And I said, I do know a guy. I'll send him. I said, I'm really embarrassed. I feel bad. I was like, we never point out that, we know who you are. We know who you are, but we don't talk about it. And then he was like, yeah, great. Yeah, no problem.
And he was just down. That's so cool, man. It just really kind of summarizes like the type of people that, we hang out with each summer. And like and I could say that about pretty much everybody. Of course, you have your couple folks that but that's anywhere. That's anywhere. But
they're fun, man. But it's good. Even they are add to it. That we get to talk about them behind their back.
Yeah, exactly. On a podcast. Well, John Hemingway in his foreword, he talks about Fiesta being this celebration of life and death, and it kind of paints this really dramatic picture of Fiesta. A celebration of life and death. Well, what does that kind of mean to you? Do you think that's kind of like an accurate description?
I mean, I would stay away from the death part as much as I can personally, but I understand there is a literary day, right? It starts with the herd, these brothers. They've been on the farm, they've been on the ranch as brothers. Sometimes literally, but at least figuratively, they've been around each other for years and years, and they run in that street, and it's their last morning in the sun. It's that mad dash, and they get, they don't know what their destiny is. They have no comprehension of it. And, they run because they like to run, and they run on the farm. Nobody has to tell them or crack a whip or anything. They open that gate. I mean, I've seen them on the farms. They just take off, and they all run together. And, it's a real neat little picture of what we're doing. We're all running. It's not – people don't – it's the American mindset of making it a sport, right? Well, who wins? Or do you keep score? And I'm like, it's not like that. We all run together. And it's a beautiful thing. And they're almost always they're all going to die in the afternoon. So
not everyone's a Roman Catholic, and not everyone's very religious. This whole concept of the Fiesta of San Fermin is based around Saint Fermin, right, of the church. Everyone who runs the encierros in the early mornings seems to have like at least an appreciation for San Fermin, and will do the chant or at least be respectful of the religion. What is it about that event, the encierro, that kind of brings people together in that way? I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Well, there's a sort of a solemn part to it. If you go to the church early in the morning before the run, you see honest people on their knees praying. They're worried for themselves. They're worried for their family members. They're worried for their town. They're worried that people are going to do something on their car. Everybody locally's got pressure, regular day, life pressure that we don't think about. And see that honesty on their faces, and to see that, and I understand. I love the stories about San Fermin. I love that he headed him, and he picked up his head and walked to the spot where they built the church. I'm down. Like, I choose to believe
it's intense, right?
Somebody tells me a story about a giant up in the forest. I'm believing it. I don't care. I'm going with it. I love that.
There's a beanstalk that sprouts from the ground and goes.
They've got their own crazy myths. Do you know that we were in church and we left a prayer book open, and a lady came over and closed it, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to close it. And she's like, well, if you don't close it, the witches escape. And she was dead serious. And I'm like, that's old school.
Did you start laughing, or were you sort of taken aback by it?
It's a little scary. And I mean, that's like 1830 stuff, right? But I mean, she very sincerely believed that you better close that book. Yeah. Bad stuff could happen. So somebody told the kids that, right? Like clean up your room or a witch will get.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh no, I love that aspect of it. You have to stop and find that. You're not going to find that on the television. You're gonna have to go find those parts of it, but it's still there. It's still there, strong on the edges. So Yeah, the Catholic Church still churns
Yeah.
along up there in the Navarra, so I don't think it's going to go out of business anytime soon.
So, you've run with the Bulls almost 100 times. Is it around, I think you said around 100,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm in the 90s. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in the 90s. So, dude, that's a lot of bull runs. You've been injured. You've fallen down several times. At least in your mind, is there like a time that you'll say, you know what, I'm going to stop and walk away? Is there a moment like that you kind of envision down the road at some point?
Yeah, there's some older guys that stand in the doorway, like the locals. They'll just like right before the run starts, or even after it started, they'll wander down there. I mean, I can see myself maybe doing a little bit of that when I'm, in my 60s. I live
Dude, you're still a young guy. Like, you have
I'm only
so many more years.
I got a
dude.
lot left in me, but I'm on a corner. Our house is on a corner, and so I've made out of PVC pipes horns, and I have my boys chase me on the street, and I asked my wife, do I look athletic still? Do I look like an old man running, or do I look like I still got it a little bit? I mean, I'm not 19, but so as long as she says I still look like I know what I'm doing, I'll still get out there and run.
When you talk to guys like Tony Hoskins and some of these guys who've been doing it for a while,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
incredible, man. And Tony on the day of the Muras last year, dude, the guy's a rock.
Dude.
He's a rock.
Dude, he can run. He's tough. That's that old Welsh farmer in him. I mean, he's got calluses on places that you and I have never touched. He's a tough old guy.
He's a true barbarian.
Man, no, he's
awesome.
a great runner. I mean, all of them are great runners, and they get knocked on their butt and just jump right up and right back at it. So, I don't know. You don't know their oldest son, do you? Owain, who plays soccer in the United States right now. He is a special runner. He is spectacular.
Really?
And in fact, there were a couple years there where I started running when he started running. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I figured out that, he's running, I need to go. So he's a special kid, real good kid. So we got 50 more years of them.
That's awesome, man. I know it's last summer was special because I think Tony hit that 100 mark.
Yeah.
And that was special. Like, when he first said it, he was like 100. I was like, wait, what? He's like 100 bull runs in Pamplona. I thought, man, if there's any, I don't know, kind of like special honor among bull runners, getting to that like triple digit mark is pretty special. A lot of things can happen. And dude, I don't think you can get to 100 bull runs without having fallen down and, busted up your kneecaps or something, right? Breaking your ankle, losing a vein. Special, man. And you talk about it in your book. You talk about how just the camaraderie among runners. A good runner doesn't seek praise. A good runner is more interested about you and how your run went and how well it went, etc. I get that sense every time I talk to somebody at Choco post run. What is it about that community of runners that kind of makes it sort of selfless?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, everybody shows up, right? The first time you go, you're like, look at me, look how awesome I was, and then you get taken aside, and there's like a peer pressure there, and it's been passed down now for 50, 60 years from people there that are passing along, teaching how the right way. And you say, that first time you run because you're macho, and then every other time you run because you're trying to do it right. You're trying to find that perfect run. You're trying to get space. You're trying to show the event of running the respect it deserves. And that's a great thing. Rick Musica took us aside early on and said, hey, it's not about you. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. That's great. I feel like I'm a grown man. I just learned something, new. And there's always somebody who, might not get it. And then they take them aside, or they'll show up with T-shirts with like a bullseye on it, says, oh, hit me here. Or the people who say, well, if all I got to do is run faster than the guy next to me. And that's just a crass misunderstanding of what's going on. Because the bull, number one, the bull does not care. You can push 10 p. If he wants you, he's coming for you, and that's not what it's about. And once you get what it's about, that it's about that brotherhood, that it's about that camaraderie, that it's about that appreciation for the art, really. And some people get a little ballet about it, and like they get a little too esoteric about what's going on, and I kind of giggle, but I understand that that's coming from a good place in their heart. that that there's Bill Hillman with the boxing, with the sweet science of boxing, and it's an apt description of what we're doing. We're out there struggling for that sweet science of trying to get as close to the horns without getting close to the horns.
Who was it back in the day? This is way before my time, and certainly before your time in Pamplona. But who was it? Was it Matt Carney who used to bring like a red rose or a white rose to the Encierro?
I've heard that. Yeah. I've never seen a picture of that, but I've heard that story several times.
Yeah.
He also punched Hemingway. So
you're kidding? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was
That's the first time I heard that.
He was bugging him, and Hemingway told him to toss off, and he slugged him.
Oh,
that's a good story.
Did not know that.
That's a good one to take home.
Or is it just one that you kind of learned?
No, I heard. It's apocryphal. I've heard it from people in his family.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a good story, right? Stuff. What you do today? I punched Ernest Hemingway right in the face. You can pretty much retire.
Welcome to the Pena. Well, dude, before we get off the Pamplona topic real quick and talk about your book that you're writing right now, I got to ask you, because you're wearing the shirt. So one of the things you and Ari love to do, and I don't know when it started, but you love to pull little practical jokes, get into little, funny situations and do funny stuff. Explain what happened with Burger King.
Well, we do enjoy little, like, only pranks we understand. That's a completely inside joke to us, and they put that Burger King there on Mercaderes a couple years back, and it was a little controversial, right? And it was a little snotty with people who were like, "Oh, I don't want to see a Burger King in the back of my glorious bull run," and people in Pamplona got to eat too, and it became sort of a dirty secret. Like everybody's like, "Oh, this is ridiculous, the commercialization," and then, hey, you guys want to go get a burger later on, and so we would go there. It started out as a lark. Like, wouldn't it be funny if we had Burger King for lunch instead of a Basque, a glorious Basque? So we go, and we're like laughing in there, and we're like Ari and I grew up working for my father's Chick-fil-A, and we're like, man, this place is a mess because of Fiesta. They can't keep up with it, and we started joking about how we should start helping them. And so over the winter, we made up our own uniforms. We contacted Burger King and we're like, we want to get name tags made up. And they sent us the link for the company they use to make up their employee. We explained what we want to do. They were like, yeah, that sounds great. Get your name tags. We got official Burger King name tags. We had the official visors they have. And we made up our own. We made up our own shirts, and we changed it to El Rey de las Hamburguesas, which is not. I mean, it's called Burger King, but we changed it into Spanish.
Into Spanish, yeah.
And so we got a couple of rags at like a dollar store there, and we just went in and started bossing people around and cleaning. And at first they weren't sure what was going on, and totally inside joke to just me and him. Everybody else says, "Oh, let us know when you're going to do it. We don't want anybody else there. We just want spontaneous, what's going on." And we went, we got behind the counter, we just lifted up that door and just walked back there, and nobody said a thing. Very, very concerned that we were legit, possibly. Because we were dressed and our clothes were all clean and crisp, and we had a uniform on.
Speaking English,
yeah.
And,
so we
these
grabbing
American
towels and we're like showing them where things need to be cleaned up, but we bust tables for maybe an hour.
But did you more or less have a plan of like, all right, here's what we're going to say, or these are the things we're going to show them, or was it kind of improvised?
I thought we'd get busted at the door. They have private security during Fiesta in case like the drunks get in there, and we thought, we're never gonna get past the door. They're gonna see the uniform and they're gonna kick us out. But we just waltzed in there, and then afterwards we let them know that we were just kidding around, and they took it with great grace, and they continued the joke for us by putting up a sign saying that we were banned from the store for life. and that was last year, and so this year we went back, and they recognized us and laughed and came. Dashed from behind the counter and wiped our table off, and
no way.
Good sports about it. And so we made some friends.
No, that's right, right.
Maybe get
And
some
it's
free,
just like,
maybe you get some free Burger King.
that's right, man. Get that quarter pounder.
That's right.
Wait, do they do the quarter pounder? Or
Yeah.
no, they do the Whopper.
They do the
My bad.
Whopper, yeah, and
Oh, my bad.
the long chicken, which makes us
One.
giggle like nonstop. But we tweeted about it. It got picked up by the American Burger King Twitter account and got a little. My mother looks at us and says, I don't understand. You're grown men. You're grown men wiping tables at Burger King.
Wiping tables in Spain.
In Spain,
In
right?
Spain.
Doesn't make sense.
But
Makes
you're
sense.
right, though. Like, if anybody was going to pull that off, it was you and Ari. Because, as you said, your dad used to run Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
And so, growing up, I'm sure that you had plenty of experience helping out, knowing how to run the shop.
Yeah.
How to wipe a table with the bleach rags and all that stuff. So you guys had like a lifelong.
I knew how to
summer
stand.
boot
I knew
camp.
how to stand like I was the owner's son in the middle of that Burger King.
I want the burger now.
That's right.
Now, 2 pickles,
Get it
not
straight.
1. Yes. No, that's
Nah,
awesome,
they're good.
man.
They're good. They're good kids.
Any insight into some upcoming practical jokes for this year, or is it?
No, it's all. Well, we got a little. We're gonna wear our Basque mullets at the Chupanazo. That's just the beginning of it, though.
I love it.
As you know, a lot of the mullet has not left the culture of northern Spain. Still, it got old.
Dude, it is that rebellious Basque.
I love it.
I
love that. That's how it started. That it started as a rebellion, and they've kept it on, and it's a good way to wear your where you are in life. Too many of the girls are wearing it, but
no, I'll be honest. So I am Basque, full disclosure, and actually, I might be hating a little bit to some friends there, but I don't like that haircut that the women have where they kind of cut off the bangs, like
the bowl cut.
I don't like it, man. It looks like a little TV screen. Yeah,
We've
it's
talked
like
to them
Lloyd
about
Christmas
it.
all over again.
It's a hard conversation, crossing cultures to basically asking what's up with that stupid haircut. That's a hard conversation to have with a stranger. But
Yes.
we've talked to them about it and kidded them about it. But it depends on the girl. Some of them look horrible with it, but if it's just what's in. It's hip there.
It's hip and it's cool there. And if anything, we're the odd ones out, right?
They don't care. They legitimately. We said to somebody, if you're ever in Philadelphia, and they basically said, why would we ever leave here? And I thought, well, yeah, I understand. That's pretty cool. They're like, we have everything we need right here. Why would we ever come to Philadelphia? And I thought, that's a fair statement.
I love that. Well, now that you're kind of done with Bowls Before Breakfast, and I'm not sure if you're, I think the one that you're working on now, you had a working title a few months back, but maybe you can kind of share some details around that and how that book might develop and be different than this one.
So my grandfather is the person in my life that taught me about traveling the world. That gave me that. He was in Europe during World War II. Here, today's D-Day. He was a couple days past D-Day. Came in through Cherbourg all the way to Germany. The whole real war for him. And but at the end of the war, he was in Paris. And as a little kid, those stories, he saw the Rockettes in Paris. He saw Hemingway walking down the street in Paris. All those stories, all the things he did, going to Napoleon's tomb there and going to the Eiffel Tower and pictures with all his buddies on the Champs-Élysées, all that stuff. I soaked that in as a kid. And his favorite book was Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck. He drove around the United States in a camper with his dog named Charlie. So I go up to the publisher, and we're going in a meeting in the Flatiron Building in New York City. And I go in, and I'm going to call the next book. I'm going to call it Travels with Ari. Make Ari as the dog. Funny only to me. And
I could just see him, like the look on his face
he
right
wasn't.
now.
He was not a big fan of that. But the guy he leaned back in his chair and he said, "Pete, enough with the Ari stories." Now, okay, so I really quickly there changed it. My grandfather's first name was Gartley, which was a Scottish thing that came over. There were Scottish immigrants to Donegal, Ireland, and then in the 1850s came to Philadelphia, never left. Did not come through Ellis Island, came right to Philly, never, we've never left. And so I'm calling it Travels with Gartley, and it's 12 different trips with 12 different people in my life. My son in Marseille, my little boy in Death Valley. I just got back from Ireland with my mother, who's in her 70s and hadn't been out of the country since 1985. And
Wow.
And she had always wanted to go back where the family had come from, up on Western Ireland. She wanted to see that. So yeah, my little boy and my mother and I trudged through the four corners of Ireland, and it was spectacular.
In many ways, kind of going back to your roots and your heritage and where your family's from. That's special, man.
We went to we went to their public records building, and we found it's the Neelys came over, Neely. The Neelys came over from Ireland, and we went and we were able to find a relative, his deed. He got permission to build a sod hut on the corner of somebody's farm property, back in like 1712 kind of thing. And it's still there on record. So It was really neat. It was really, at first we're going in there. I was like, Ma, we're not going to find anything in here. They've been gone since the 1850s. There's no way. And there it was. And it was, it was clearly family because we could tell by the names and the middle names and the people in the list. And it was clearly family. So it was really nice. She didn't think they were Irish enough for her liking.
They were supposed to be more Irish.
Yeah, a little bit more Bugs Bunny Irish. A little. She's like, they don't all have red hair. Right? It's funny.
Pots of gold.
What'd you think of Ireland?
That's
yeah,
cute.
They weren't very Irish. So it was good. I think it'll be good. It'll be a good chapter. And we had my son and I went sandboarding in Colorado, and I do that trip and trip with a friend, a trip with mutual friends, Devin Douglas and Ryan Bennett to Kansas City for their annual Halloween party. So
yeah,
it's good stuff. I got a lot of friends. Awesome, I got a lot of family, so might as well write about them.
No, it's right. And it's like, what a way to kind of like keep track of all those memories and the friendships than to write about it, which is just so cool, man. And for you, being an attorney, obviously you work, you have your day job. What's the writing process usually like for you when it comes down to like write the book? How do you find time to kind of juggle your schedule around and make it happen?
So I had a buddy who wrote a book, and I couldn't believe it. And he like a self-published, but still he did all that work. It was a big, thick book. I couldn't believe it. And he told me, just like every night after his kids go to bed, like 11 to 1, he would like every night just plod along. He like set aside this time and had that discipline. So I'm not a night, I'm more of a morning. So I got up early and I just put in the time. And then a couple of times when you need like a big block of time, we would take, we would drive out to the Poconos or to upstate New York and finish the task. But it's been great. It's really the discipline. I've gotten to know like professional writers, like real professional writers, and it's a drag. They got to get up every day, and sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes they just sit there, but you just have to, keep going. And there's been so many people have helped and have joined, different writing clubs and groups, and they'll have like a sit-in. They'll say, okay, everybody this Saturday, we're all going to Wegmans, and everyone's going to write for 3 hours. And at first I was like, oh, it sounds so stupid. And then I went and I'm like, oh, this is really good. Cause it's like the gym or anything else, like a little peer pressure. Good thing.
Yeah. Good thing. Well, you always hear writers talk about writer's block, and some people say, it's BS. It's not true. It's just, do you agree with that term, writer's block? And do you ever experience that?
Sometimes you get to a point and you're like, this isn't working. I don't understand this. I can't bring it all together. Have like 10,000 little stories that don't mesh. Just put it aside, work on something else. And sometimes you come back to it and you just have that moment, or you'll realize, you know what? Yeah, this was garbage and I'm moving on. Or it comes to you how to put it all together, or you let somebody else read it and they have, suggestions. So, I've experienced that. I'm not, I can't, like my son Samuel now is up at Bowdoin College and he wants to be a writer. and he's doing really well. And he has to, because of his classes, he has to write different kinds of things, fiction, nonfiction, scientific literature, all kinds of different things.
Ooh.
And that's a hard, like I talked to him about, it's hard jumping from discipline to discipline. I write how I speak. I write what I'm doing. I'm not making up stuff. I'm not making up a science fiction universe that does not exist. So in that respect, it's a little easier. So I'm verbose to begin with. So
you're just super articulate, right? And that's you really broke the mold with being like an interesting attorney. I mean, it's interesting attorney, like, right?
Oh, is it good for, it's so good for business. My lawyer runs with the bulls. So screw you.
I never thought about, what, let's settle. Let's settle.
Come in the door. Come in
that's
the
all
door.
I need to know.
Are you the bull? You're the bull one? You're the bull attorney? I'm like, yes, that's me.
Are you the bull attorney?
Yep. It's been great for business.
That's fantastic, man. But it's just so cool, like being so multi-talented, being able to write, being able to speak, being able to, but here's the interesting part is when you talk to planners, people who just need to plan every aspect of their lives, it doesn't usually go hand in hand with being adventurous. But you are, right?
Oh.
We just talked about how you're, you set up itineraries and all this different stuff, but it doesn't hold you back. And some people, they don't know how to let go and just have fun, but it's the opposite for you.
Well, because we don't waste time on nonsense. Like people will say, oh, we're just going to go someplace and wander. Well, you go to 10 bad restaurants looking for that one good restaurant. I'd rather go to 11 good restaurants and do a little bit of planning at home to know where the good stuff is. And not necessarily, so we'll want to do everything, right? When we're in Spain, we want to eat. You can go to like a 5-hour, 30-course meal up there in the mountains. You got some spectacular 3 Michelin star. There are more Michelin stars up there than in New York City or in Paris together. There's just, it's a smorgasbord up there. But I also want to go to where like someone's like, where we go and we'll have pigeon. I want to have it all. I want to go, like they're literally roasting the pigeon in the parking lot behind the restaurant. I'm going to go to little mom and pops, and I want to go to the places where they're, squeezing the foam and all that French, nonsense. So, we only have a certain amount of time off, right? I only have
it's true
10 to 15 weeks a year that I can take off from my practice for vacations.
15 weeks. And everyone listening to right now is just like, I hate you,
I
Peter.
want to pack it in. I want to make sure I take full advantage and read a book, plan a little bit. So I understand some people just want to go and sit at the Windsor for 8 days, but I want to get out in the mountains. I want to find that lake. I want to find that spot. We have so many places now that we can't miss. We can't go and not do A, B, and C. There's so many of those things now that we could go there for a month and not do them.
And just have like an endless list of stuff to do.
It's painful parsing it down. And it's like a great negotiation. Well, we'll do that. We'll go up. We'll ride the bumper cars in San Sebastian. If you agree to do this. So it's fun that way. There's some compromise to it. And there's nothing bad. There's not a bad day in northern Spain.
No, I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to meet your wife, your son Jackson. Dude, I'm really excited. I'm so happy that your son's successful. He's doing awesome. I didn't know he was becoming a writer. That's super cool. And hopefully, at some point soon, we can all meet up and say hi to one another too. So, dude, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's like middle of the work week.
You know what that sound is?
Yes, sir. Dude, it means bulls are coming.
That's right.